Farm in Lancaster County. He received his bachelor's degree in biology from Albright College, doctor of medicine degree from the University of Virginia, and completed an orthopedic surgery residency at the Milton Hershey and State Medical Center. He moved to York in 1996 with his wife Julie and 3 children to begin the practice of orthopedic surgery with KDB Orthopedics. He has maintained a busy clinical practice while also being heavily involved in leadership. Most recently, he served as chairman of the board of managers at OSS Health. Steve now serves as president of Wyndridge Farms, a new farm-based hospitality project in Dallastown that he's here to share with us his story. It's my honor to introduce my friend and one of our newest members, Steve Groff.
Thank you, President Dave. It is an honor to be here with you this afternoon. I'm here with my wife, Julie, who is a usual part of this venture with me, both in life and this project, so I'm glad that she's here with me today. I want to introduce you later, members of our team are also joining us. So I had the good fortune of speaking to you several years ago in this very room, this very podium about a previous day job when I was an orthopedic surgeon and founding chairman of OSS Health and OSS Hospital. Todd and I shared the podium probably 3 or 4 years ago about that exciting venture. And we're fortunate to have that hospital go on to become an important part of the healthcare landscape here in New York. Some things changed in my life and helped me change direction, or forced me to change direction. And I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about those things and then really turn the page and focus on something fun and the enjoyable thing that we like to really spend most of our time on. So October 11th, 2011, October 6th, 2011, I was on a bike ride, a joyride, I rode a bicycle, and took off from our farm on a nice 20-mile ride in Glenrock, and expected to leave my daughter's hockey game that afternoon, and was struck from behind by a motorist who didn't see me, 45 miles an hour, and instantly kind of changed my life. This was down near Niagara Junction on the way to Glenrock. So I was fortunate to survive that accident. I ended up having a cervical fracture and some other fractures in my pelvis and leg. But the major issue was the neck issue and some bleeding around my spinal cord. So within about 2 hours, I ended up at my own trauma unit at York Hospital, where I worked many times, and it's kind of a surreal experience to be ambulanced into the trauma bay. And so I was fortunate not to have any severe weakness with the spinal cord injury that took place. I ended up having a plate inserted in my neck. Partner was operating a couple of days later. So I was very fortunate to recover, be able to walk, things like that. So after that accident, a couple of things changed in my hands, my head, and my heart. I had been terribly passionate about healthcare. You and the family were more passionate about orthopedic surgery and healthcare than me at that point. I was very instrumental in the whole OSS merger situation the last decade and really enjoyed the clinical practice here since 1996. So it was really who I was. Although I grew up on a farm and farm boy and ended up in medicine, and we put this farm in Wyndridge since 2000. But healthcare was who I was. But after that accident, I pushed my way back. I was trying to see patients 10 days later after that accident, which was a mistake. I quickly learned. But a few months later, my neck fusion had healed. I got back to doing surgery. But I just knew that my hands didn't feel the same. That was really from the injury. I was lucky to walk on the ground, but my hands never felt the same after that. And my heart and head, I just knew that the passion for healthcare changed. And so my wife and I talked about things, we began to look at some of the things on our farm, and you'll see some pictures of an old barn that really helped trigger us to look at how we could renovate the old barn on Ben Hoover's father's farm initially called Wyndridge. And so that's how this whole story changes. So let's turn the page and talk about a change in life that I've made. I left OSS in January, and my wife and I are putting together this project. It's best described in a long sentence as a family-owned, farm-based food and beverage destination of event. So I'll say a mouthful there, but trying to sum up everything, that's probably the best way to describe it. And then we'll talk to you about a couple of things we're doing. Our project is slated to open in late summer. We've been working at it since last August in renovations, planning for at least 2 years. And let's continue on. So again, I'm honored to be here, and I was inducted a few weeks ago as a member, so So one of the things that I'm really excited about with this new business venture is having an opportunity to be more involved in things like Rotary. I know as a clinical surgeon, you really lack that time to be down here. Toddler was always here representing OSS, and I never had a chance, so other than that one brief lecture, so it's nice to be here. So let's introduce a little levity in this whole thing, kind of have a little fun with what we're doing. This project involves craft beverage scene, and so I know there's a mix of folks here of different ages, and so if you're over 50, you probably don't know a lot about the craft beverage scene, and that, and maybe you do, maybe you don't, but I'm just making a generality. But this is kind of a fun little quiz, and again, a few of the people here may know these questions, but it's a little crafty quiz here, a pre-test, and if you know the difference between Dogfish Head and Flying Dog, you're probably connected to the craft beverage scene. And those are both well-known craft breweries in the East Coast. Dogfish Head is in Rehoboth Beach. If you get to Rehoboth, you're probably aware of a nice little food pub called Dogfish Head, and now a huge breweries outside. I see some pets nodding, so there's some craft folks here. So Flying Dog is a big craft brewery in Maryland that was moved in Colorado and moved to Frederick. So how many people here, by show of hands, can say they know what an IPA is? Okay, pretty good, about now. So IPA is probably the most popular craft beer in America, and it stands for India Pale Ale, and it's it got that name from the British soldiers who were stationed in India. They needed rations, and part of their rations were beer, and the long shipping time required some extra hops to keep from going bad, and so an extra hop beer is known as an IPA, and again, most of you maybe have heard that. That's kind of the interesting history of IPA. I've learned that over the last 2 years, so it's something I didn't know either, but as my wife and I really immersed ourselves in the craft scene, we learned a lot. So, how about Old Scrumpy? Anybody know what Old Scrumpy is? There we go. One. Go ahead, I'll let you. Hard cider, right? So Old Scrumpy was sort of apple juice to left to open ferment, and particularly one town that really where it got started. And then IBUs and ABV. If you again all connected with the craft beer scene, if you go to a so-called craft beverage restaurant, you may see on the chalkboard or the menu these letters. It's a numbers after them. IBUs stand for International Bitterness Units. An IPA has more hops, a little more bitter, so it's usually up there in 40, 50, 60 range. And an ABV stands for alcohol by volume, so people know pretty much how much alcohol they're having in the beverage, so they can ingest it carefully, which is something I also want to say that it's a huge part of our business. Obviously, as you learn, manufacturing is part of our business, and we literally wholeheartedly recommend moderate use of some of the products that we make. So let's move on. So Wyndridge Farm is a 77-acre farm that Julie and I live on. We raised our kids there for the last 13 years. It's in Dallas, York Township. It's 77 acres, lovely rolling hills just down from the high school. And before Ben Hoover's father bought it, it was owned by the Robb family for several generations, and I believe they belong to own the fruit farms. Actually, Mrs. Robb's coming by this afternoon with her son for a tour. She grew up in a little farmhouse that is on our property. So Phil Hoover, a Rotarian, charter member of the Red Line Rotary Group, bought this property in '72, and he put it in a company, a so-called C Corp, and he called it Wyndridge Farms, and it was Wyndridge Farms LLC, and so that's the history of that name, and we have kept that name. Phil had passed. He practiced medicine. He was his son Ben is here, and Ben and his sisters inherited the farm, and ultimately they didn't choose to live there, and we were looking for a farm about the year 2000. My wife and I had 300 kids, and we were fortunate to buy the farm from Ben and his family. And again, we kept the name. So the farm was a corporation, and we decided that we would keep the corporation, and we kept the name, and we turned it an S Corp. And so this was 2000, the year 2000. We had no idea we were doing anything like this in the farm. We wanted to raise some standard horses, raise our kids there, and farm. So it was, we've never had an intention of doing a project we're doing now. It's kind of neat to look back over the history. There was a small farmhouse where, and a barn that were there. We renovated the farmhouse a few years ago, right after my accident. And then what had happened was the little farmhouse, which is next to this barn, the barn looked terrible. This little farmhouse looked so nice, and we kept saying, we'd love to do something with this barn, but we'd love to justify it. We didn't want to just throw money at it, making a hobby barn. And so we started to look at what options we had in York Township. the property. So that barn really became the linchpin of this Wyndridge Farm project. And as you'll see as we go through this, it was built about 120 years ago. There's a lovely stone foundation, sort of appreciated there. All the internal beams are well maintained. The roof was protected through the years, rain out. So the barn is built hand beam beams, 10, 12 inches at least in size. Hand beam beams are basically chopped from a tree by hand. These hew marks are really beautiful. It's put together what's called mortise and tenon or peg and post. Amish folks use technique still. So anyway, that's the pre. Few shots inside. So it was in some rough shape, but overall the infrastructure was pretty decent. So we began to think about what we could do, and we realized this is where we're at now. So we're jumping ahead, but then we're going to give you some of the background. So this is a project that was standing about 2 weeks ago. So the barn's been renovated. We've created a concept of a craft beverage destination. 77 acre farm, as I mentioned. In York Township, the winery is improved use, and we were able to get a limited winery license. And the township's very flexible, and that limited wineries do lots of things. They have art shows, they have restaurants, they have other beverages, they have events, and so that's really how we sort of put this together. There's several wineries in Pennsylvania that also have craft brewery licenses, and so that precedent was really set at these 3 other places in PA. So that allowed us to look at craft brewery license. And as we explored this, we realized that this incredible resurgence of craft small batch beverages has really taken off. And again, the craft beverage thing, the craft beer thing has been really going on for about 10, 15 years. Hard ciders really had a resurgence in the last 3 or 4 years. So this project ended up now with a renovated climate-controlled barn. It seats about 275 people for events, private events. There's a kitchen on site, an open-air kitchen. And then the tasting room is another section where it will have the open kitchen, tasting room bar, and a small place menu will be given to the public. So, and also the event space that we talked about. So what we really like to do is elevate the bar as far as unique space. We call it a rustic chic or rustic elegant space. We really hope to become a mid-Atlantic destination with this level of service and quality we have on a farm. It's got a unique collection of services. We put together a wonderful team that I'll introduce later. And we really think the uniqueness of the plant and the natural beauty of the southern New York County, the Rolling Hills, will really make it a special place. We're within an hour or two of millions of Americans, and again, those kind of demographics really push us along. We're really emphasizing buying local to the extent we can. Farm to table, small batches are things that are really important. So having a research, people want to know where their food comes from. People want to buy local, and we're supporting that. And a couple of things I just want to throw out. The juice that we're using for our hard cider comes from Brown's, so we have a relationship with Stan Brown. Stan Brown and his company have been pressing the apples, and we get the fresh juice, which people call cider, but for us it's juice, and we ferment it in our tanks. We do the hard cider, and we tasted it earlier. So the hard cider is really our first beverage. A couple of things I just want to throw out. This project wouldn't be possible without just incredible craftsmanship and many of the local craftsmen, a couple of other professional groups. I want to mention we were able to get an SBA loan for a portion of this project, and Fulton Bank has partnered with us in this project, so I want to throw out a shout out to them. A bunch of local craftsmen that are helping framing for this carpet, as you can imagine. So just phenomenal local talent. Another thing I want to mention, the logo. The box is sort of our mark, our logo, our brand, and Holberg Design here in York has worked with Holberg and his team. Andy Arnold with advertising, some PR work, so a lot of local talent, and it's been really neat. That's one of the things Julie and I have enjoyed about this, is getting to know really talented local people here, and they really help us out immensely. So the service lines, there's a bunch of things happening and kind of pulled under one roof. And beverage manufacturing, we're going to make hard cider, which we're doing now in the existing building. We got a craft brewery there, which will be exciting for tours, and brewery education. Many of you hear home brewing. I'm sure there's some home brewers here. Home brewing groups, education, that's going to be a big part of our brewing program. We have an option to do what's called contract beverage, where there are brewers that don't have a lot of capacity, but they're looking to have someone else make it for them. So that's an option for us, depending on the capacity that we have. retail store there on the farm. We also have a retail spot at Central Market here at York currently, and we're going to start several others in the region. Food service, we have, as I mentioned, a lovely kitchen, tasting room, event spaces, and even outdoor events. The farm is 77 acres, we have the opportunity to have tent events and things like that for larger corporate gatherings outside. So a number of things coming together, so you can imagine it's a pretty busy place as we build our team and build the infrastructure. So getting back, I keep talking about this craft beverage scene, and again, if you know about it, you understand what I'm talking about, it's pretty exciting. In 1979 in America, there were about 80 breweries, and there were many of the big names you think about, Bud and Miller and Coors and Pabst. And since then, in 2013, there are 4,000 licensed breweries. 1,500 of those are just about to open, 2,500 in production. So it's an incredible change, and so people enjoy these smaller batch, more complex style beers. So-called big boys, we talk about Bud or Miller, of course, they're still there. They still own 80% of the market because they have massive amounts of money and marketing connections. But each year, the craft beverage demographic numbers keep growing. So it's pretty exciting. So those first three, everybody would know Coors, Bud, and Miller. If you're not in the craft beer scene, you probably wouldn't have heard of Cider, Nevada, Stone, Trogs. But they're household names if you drink the craft beer scene, and they're Trogs is red, and Hershey's right in Harrisburg, a wonderful craft brewery down next to Hershey Park. And we were toward that facility. It's a really exciting tour, and we hope to have something similar on our farm. So, hard cider. Hard cider was the drink in this country in the early founding years, and went out of favor, particularly around Prohibition. Took place, a lot of the cider apples were removed from production. But over the last couple of years, hard cider has had an incredible resurgence both in the U.S. and Europe, and we're excited to sort of tap into that. We have a full-time cider maker who's listed named Scott Tobel, and we'll introduce him later. He helps us with our hard cider production. It's a naturally gluten-free product. It appeals to non-beer drinkers, and the nice thing about it, we're maybe not in the Napa Valley of grapes, but we're sort of in the Napa Valley of apples, and so the opportunity to have great food here in central Pennsylvania is really another thing that drove us into the hard cider program. So in December, just a few months ago, we received our limited winery license, which we use to make the cider, and we put in a packaging line, as you see here. This is our bottling line here, and that's a nice Italian filler that does 3,000 bottles an hour, so we have a lot of capacity with that. It's a lot of fun to run that. Some of the beverage we tasted today, we'll bottle it in the machine. And then next door, you see our artwork and our case box. And so Crafty Cider was really our first beverage, and it's taken off. We're now in 70 retail locations in the Mid-Atlantic. We're distributing in Maryland and Pennsylvania. We self-distribute the product. We're not allowed to sell through distributors. It's kind of a crazy PA law. But so we're self-distributing it, and we're really excited about the reception. It's really taken off in Lancaster in the last few weeks. So that Wyndridge Crafty Cider is available at one place in New York, our Central Market stand, and we also sell it from the farm, even directly before we're open. So we put together, an exciting team. Like I said, my wife Julie and I are doing this together, and that's another incredible joy for me. As a surgeon, Julie was a nurse, and I was a surgeon, and I've got a crazy life. Raised our kids, and now it's kind of fun to be doing this together. It's something we never expected, but we're working harder than each of us, probably working harder than we ever have, but having a great time doing it and putting together a great team. So, shout out to Julie. We hired a wedding planner, and maybe you guys want to stand up. Our team is at the other end, and Jenny Russell is our wedding planner. You met her earlier, serving cider. Corporate event planner Bonnie's not here today. Executive Chef Matthew Sigmund. We're terribly excited to have Matthew on our team. Matthew had served as executive chef at the Oregon Grill in Hunt Valley for 5 years, serving her 16 years total. So we're really excited to have Matthew join our team as our executive chef. Cider Master Scott, I mentioned earlier. Alyssa Gandoli is our sales manager. She has a great background in hospitality and craft beverage. And we have a great brewery designer, and brewmaster who's not with us. He's helped to lay out the craft brewery. So it's all about putting together a great team. My wife and I don't come from a home brewing or home winemaking background, but we just enjoy putting together a great team of people. So these are a couple renderings the radar in York. He's won awards in the Middle East and Europe for his renderings, and we were referred to him by a friend. But if you ever have a need for this, I can't recommend anybody hire. So Tony has helped us with these renderings, create business before the facility even opened. So again, another incredible local talent right here in York. So this is the old barn. Here's the old barn and the silo. Those are the only original buildings. Everything to the left is the new construction, which is almost finished. I showed you in that earlier picture. We have a covered entrance, restrooms, a tasting room, kitchen, and the very back here is building is the Crafty brewery. So we're excited about those things. Another view, old barn again, nice open courtyard with a fireplace outside, we're burning fireplace outside, and the brewery back on the side there. So this is the old barn, and it's renovated. It pretty much looks like it's now, except for the people. It's climate controlled, so it'll be nice and toasty for Christmas events, holiday events, and cool in August for a wedding. So we think that's really going to be a differentiating factor for us. And as I said, it seats about 275 people, but we can see receptions there, corporate retreats, corporate holiday parties, concerts, a number of things there. So we're really excited about this space. It's really quite breathtaking, and we'd love to show you through if you have interest before we're open. The tasting room is going to be a nice tasting room bar that seats about 18, a nice open expo kitchen, and then there's a room connected that seats about 60 people. So that'll be typically open to the public. You think of folks traveling on the weekend, when come from out of town and visit that kind of thing, tasting small plates menu that Matthew's put together. So we think that again will be a nice draw. We changed that chef's table area into a retail space. We weren't able to pull that off, but we needed some retail space anyway, so that's changed a little bit. And this is the craft brewery, a nice rendering that we think Tony did. We have a really neat one-way brew house that's going to help us make some consistent quality product there. And the nice thing about it is it's connected by glass door right to the tasting room, so you'll be able to kind of get a view of that. And a tour, we expect to have guided tours and educational tours through that. So we're really excited about that as an addition to the whole project. As you probably know, social media is a huge help these days in both communicating socially, but also with business. And we're very active on social media with our Facebook page. And really last me, I hated when our kids were on Facebook, it drove me nuts. But yet now Facebook is one of our biggest tools to reach people. So we have to kind of go with the times. And so we have an active website, Wyndridge.com, and again our Facebook page. We have update often, and it's really important. So again, it's been great to talk to you here. I'd love to answer questions. So we really hope by when we pull this together that this place encourages celebration of life. And that's, again, thinking back to that accident, we all know life is short, life is sweet, life is shake, or maybe overused, but I learned that almost the hard way. And I always appreciate my life lecture, appreciate a lot more after something like that. But we talk about celebration of life, and again, that's another theme that this project really to us is a place that you can come enjoy our farm, enjoy the farm, enjoy Southern York County, and celebrate life, and that's really what we want to encourage folks to do this. So we really think that the team we put together will hopefully put us in a different category, and we hope to be successful here in the area. And it's been an honor to talk to you. If you have any questions, we'll take them, and feel free to talk to our team. Again, they're the other end, we'll have one of our Cider try, and give us a call if you have any